Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amrutam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om. May the Divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace.
I'm going to sing a hymn on Mother Sarada, Anantarupini. The meaning of the song goes like this. Mother, you have infinite forms, qualities, and names. You charm the heart of Shiva. You make Ramakrishna triumphant. You are the mother of the universe. You destroy the evil. You protect us. You are the bestower of auspiciousness. You are embodiment of beauty, power like Durga. You are that merciful daughter of the King of mountains. You grant lasting bliss and victory. Anantarupini Ananta Gunavati Ananta Namni Girije Ma Anantarupini Ananta Gunavati Ananta Namni Girije Ma Shiva Hinmohini Vishwabilashini Shiva Hinmohini Vishwabilashini Ramakrishna Jaya Dayini Ma Shiva Hinmohini Vishwabilashini Ramakrishna Jaya Jayini Ma Anantarupini Ananta Gunavati Ananta Namni Girije Ma Jagat Janani Trilokapalini Vishwasuhasini Subhade Ma Jagat Janani Trilokapalini Vishwasuhasini Subhade Ma Durgati Nashini Sammati Dayini Durgati Nashini Sammati Dayini Bhoga Moksha Sukha Karini Ma Anantarupini Ananta Gunavati Ananta Namni Girije Ma Shiva Hinmohini Vishwabilashini Shiva Hinmohini Vishwabilashini Ramakrishna Jaya Dayini Ma Anantarupini Ananta Gunavati अनंत नामनी गिरिजे माँ परमे पार्वती सुंदरी भगवती दुर्गे भामती त्वं मे मां परमे पार्वती सुंदरी भगवती दुर्गे भामती त्वं मे मां प्रसीद मातर नगेन्द्र नंदिनी प्रसीद मातः नगेन्द्र नंदिनी चिरसुखदायिनी जय दे मां प्रसीद मातः नगेन्द्र नंदिनी चिरसुखदायिनी जय दे मां अनंत रूपिणी अनंत गुणवती अनंत नामनी गिरिजे मां शिव हिन्मोहिनी विश्वविलासिनी शिव हिन्मोहिनी विश्वविलासिनी रामकृष्ण जय दायिनी मां अनंत रूपिणी अनंत गुणवती अनंत नामनी गिरिजे मां.
I'm reading from the book Sri Sharada Devi and Her Divine Play by Swami Chetanananda. The topic or the chapter is Udbodhan, the Mother's House, and the topic is the Blessed are the Simple and Sincere. A young vagabond named Chandramohan Datta came to Udbodhan publication office one day looking for work. He sat on the outside veranda and fortunately met a man named Mohan who worked for the household. Chandra learned from Mohan that Udbodhan House was an office of the Ramakrishna Mission and some monks lived there. Chandra asked, "May I meet the head of this center?" Mohan asked him to wait. He soon came back and said, "Please come. The mother has asked me to take you to her." Chandra was little perplexed to learn that women also lived in this mission office. However, he went to the upper floor to see Holy Mother. Chandra recalled, "At the first sight of the mother, I felt that she was my own. Her eyes were so calm, as if compassion were dripping from them. I bowed down to her, and she blessed me by touching my head. She inquired about me in detail, my name, where I lived, who else lived with me, and so on." The simple-natured Chandra opened his heart to Holy Mother, describing his pain and agony, his brother's ill-treatment of him, and how he was desperately looking for a job. The mother listened to his story and then asked affectionately, "Are you ready to do any kind of work, or would some kinds of work affect your prestige?" Chandra replied, "I shall be doing my mother's work. Where does the question of prestige come in?" Pleased, the mother said, "Some of my monastic children and a few women live in this house. We need someone to do our shopping. My son Sharat decides whether to give an appointment. Go with Mohan and meet him." Mohan said to Sharadananda, "Maharaj, the mother has sent this gentleman to you. She has mentioned that if you consider it necessary, you may appoint him to do our shopping." Smiling, Sharadananda said, whom am I to appoint? You have already come to me with an appointment letter. He then said to Kishori, another worker, you said that you needed another person to help. Train this young man to serve that purpose. Chandra was hired at a salary of 10 rupees to buy groceries every morning with Mohan and to pack and sell books published by Udbodhan office. Thus, he was instrumental in spreading the master's message and increasing the income of the Udbodhan publication department. When an individual takes a sincere step, then all gods attend and his single deed is sweet, said Henry David Thoreau. The mother's heart melted as she observed Chandra's sincerity and loving service. She initiated him and sanctified his rosary. She also asked him to do some small errands for her. One day she said to him, do you know why I have some of my work done by you? When I am no more, the memory of all this work will bring solace to you. Another day she said to him, my children will never be born again. You too will not be born. This birth is your last birth. Tears of gratitude trickled from Chandra's eyes. Sharadananda heard mother's blessing to Chandra and joyfully told him, well, so you have managed to attain your end. You have accomplished the sole purpose of life merely by doing some odd jobs for the mother, for whose favor Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva are engaged day and night in such arduous austerities. Now go, romp about free of care. Here is reading.
Now a short period of meditation. Welcome to the Sunday service after our summer recess. And today's Sunday service is very special because we have as the guest speaker Pravrajika Virajaprana Mataji from Vedanta Society of Northern California, San Francisco. Let me see here a small biodata she gave to us. So, Pravrajika Virajaprana Mataji joined the Vedanta convent at San Francisco in 1972 and was given sannyasa in 1987. In addition to giving talks in the Vedanta Society in San Francisco, various other centers in the US and other venues, she also contributes articles to the Ramakrishna Order's journals and has compiled and edited the book Photographs of Swami Vivekananda, published by the Vedanta Society of Northern California, San Francisco. Mataji arrived here day before yesterday, and she gave a Friday scripture class on the history of Vedanta Society of San Francisco. And yesterday she was whole day busy in the retreat, in the seminar, annual seminar, and her deliberation, her speech was so beautiful on knowing, doing gap. And today we are here to hear from her on what can be the better thing than the Holy Mother. The reading was on Holy Mother, the song was on Holy Mother, and her talk on Holy Mother is excellent. We'll all enjoy. Let us feel the presence of Holy Mother amongst us while we listen to the talk by Pravrajika Virajaprana Mataji. Mataji, welcome to you.
Good morning to all of you. Nice to see you again. So our subject this morning is Holy Mother's Simple Path to God. You know, our Holy Mother welcomes us with her gentle hand, and she guides us along her simple path to God. In one of Shankaracharya's hymns on the Divine Mother, the Annapurna Stotra, there is a phrase about the Divine Mother. Moksha Dwara Kapata Patra Kari. She who breaks open the door to liberation. You know, ultimately it is Mother herself who holds the key to open that door. She shows us the way. She's a tremendous Shakti, tremendous power and energy. And by taking refuge in her and through her grace, we can learn to walk the simple path to God too. Now, Mother's path reflects Mother herself and her attitudes, an approach to people and life in general. You know, the Divine Mother, as we just heard, Ananta Rupini, we sing this song in our center. Mother has infinite forms. Ananta, infinite. Rupini, forms. So many forms she has. So the Divine Mother herself manifested tremendous power for the upliftment of humanity through the form of our gentle Holy Mother. But that power that Mother manifested was extremely sattvic, very sattvic, quiet, unassuming, unsophisticated. The Holy Mother transformed hearts and minds and drew people to God almost imperceptibly. How? Through her tremendous compassion and her generous, loving heart. You know, one of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Shivananda Mahapurush Maharaj, said this about the Holy Mother. She accepted a human body and lived like an ordinary housewife, though in reality she was none other than the Mother of the universe, the primal divine energy. She was one of those who were enumerated in the scriptures as the 10 Mahavidyas, such as Kali, Tara, Bhuvaneshwari, Lalita, etc. The Holy Mother was a mother of all. Her kindness, her forbearance, her patience were wonderful. This is a direct quote from the Swami. Now, the way in which the Mother lived her unostentatious life, in the few words that she spoke, profoundly influenced others. and is what makes the simple Holy Mother so powerful. Therefore, the path that Mother presents to us can only be but simple. That was her very nature. And here we should not confuse simplicity with intellectually undemanding. Mother had one of the keenest of intellects, and her intuition was unsurpassed. And as many of you know who have read Mother's life, you know that even the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna would not make any decision about the order, the work, anything without first consulting the Holy Mother. Now, when we say simple, it sounds very reassuring, because simple seems to imply that not much effort is required. It's easy. Well, that's very appealing, but unfortunately, it's not always the case. And I believe in this context of the Mother's way of teaching implies it's uncomplicated, it's straightforward, it's natural. But because it's uncomplicated doesn't necessarily mean that it is effortless. But fortunately, however, Mother doesn't ask us for a list of qualifications. You know, in Vedanta, we often hear about the adhikara vada. So many qualifications, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to study this, that. We don't have to submit our biodata to the Mother. We don't have to give her a resume. We don't have to list the books that we've studied, and we don't have to know Bengali or Sanskrit. Her approach to God doesn't require these formalities. It's transparent and it's clear. She's our own mother. Now, does a mother ask her child all of these questions when the child wants some candy, something? No, she just simply bestows her love on her children. This is exactly what Mother did. Sincerity is all that Mother required. That was the only qualification. So simplicity and clarity are central in Mother's teachings. These qualities make practice less daunting, and thus, in a way, it's easier. You know, when we say something is easy or difficult, it's really a question of our mental disposition. When we like something, or we're in a good mood, then it's easy. Otherwise, when we don't like certain things, the effort sometimes can appear overwhelming. So easy or difficult depends on our attitude. If we have the right attitude and love for the ideal, the path becomes very easy. Now, Mother came to make the spiritual path for us solabhya, which means accessible to everyone, by demonstrating through her own life and her experiences how natural spirituality should be for all of us. You know, there was nothing unusual or transcendental or extraordinary in Mother's spirituality. Her mood of spirituality manifested in an entirely different way than, say, Sri Ramakrishna. She was so natural and so profound that her greatness was often overlooked even in her lifetime. Sri Ramakrishna described her like a cat covered with ashes. She hid her divinity so well so that one and all could feel completely free with her. Then she would say that she herself would hook the fish. You know, the Sanskrit word sahaja means that which is natural. And it's a very apt description of Mother. We just heard this beautiful reading from Divine Mother, Holy Mother's divine play. This is the way Mother behaved with everyone. Very natural. the basic premise, so to speak, of all of Mother's instructions is God's our very own. We are deeply and intimately related to the divine, whether we are aware of it or not. He or she is in our heart, in every ripple of the mind, in every atom, everywhere he or she is present. Now, Mother's emphasis is to make us aware of this simple fact: our intimate, loving, inseparable connection with God. So she encourages us at every level, at every step, to feel this closeness with God that we ordinarily feel in our human relationships. God is our own Father. God is our mother, our child, our friend, our nearest and dearest. In fact, she said that Sri Ramakrishna left her behind specifically to demonstrate the motherhood of God. And her feeling was to manifest the motherhood of God. If you have an excessive manifestation of divinity, it creates awe and distance in the minds of others. She hid her divinity very well, not only physically, but spiritually. You know, when we feel that something or someone is our own, a deep bond is forged. Formality drops away. There's no formality. It brings us closer and closer to the one that we love. And ultimately, our hearts are unified. And this is what Mother did silently, imperceptibly, with everyone. Surely this is why she encourages us to learn to make the whole world our own. No one is a stranger, she said. The whole world is your own, because that's the truth. Myself, the divinity within me, is within everyone. In this sense, Mother is one of the most outstanding examples of a practical Advaitin. She literally made the whole world her own. Now, by studying her life, how she dealt with all kinds of people and situations, we are given a perfect example to emulate in trying to make the world our own. She's a very wonderful practical demonstration of this. Another of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples, Swami Ranganathanadaji, said, "What's an accomplished fact for a person of realization? This is a practice for us who are trying to reach that state. Today's imagination is tomorrow's realization." A hint that Mother gives in trying to make others our own is that whatever we normally do for those that we love, our family and our friends and our community, we should expand that to include everyone. She never said we shouldn't love our families, we shouldn't love our children, we should love them, but we should expand that love to cover everyone. So she would say, give to others what you want for yourself and your family and your friends. Do not be exclusive, be inclusive. We naturally love our family and friends, but she would say, expand that love. The center is fixed, but the circumference should go on expanding. Now, another important point in Mother's life for all of us in our daily life is that her experiences with people spanned the entire spectrum of human emotions and relationships. She didn't live in retirement. She didn't live in a convent or in the Himalayas. Mother lived in the center of fire all the time. And living as she did, she was completely free of any selfish concern. So in a simple way, her life is one of the clearest examples we can find of active compassion. She was soft and loving, and yet was the embodiment of tremendous strength. She had to deal with various types of people, from relatives to devotees, some quite crazy, mother and monks, casual visitors, under a variety of circumstances. So when we read her life, we can often find comparisons in our own life. We all have Radhus in our family or our friends, so we can relate to Mother in this way. Now, especially in running her problematic household, she had her hands full. Most of you who know Mother's life know that Radhu's mother, Surabala, and her niece, Nalini, they were always at each other's throats, constantly fighting. Her brothers were continually fighting and trying to get her attention and her money. And in spite of Mother's soothing presence, the atmosphere in her home was often tense and hostile. Her enduring, forgiving nature amidst these trials and tribulations and hardships is a living testimony of how we can make spiritual life practical. All of our lives are filled with these kinds of problems. But Mother shows us how to spiritualize this. So her simple path to God is really illustrated, we can find in her attitudes and in every action that she took, in the instructions that she gave to others, just like the instruction she gave to Chandra. He came, he laid his problems before her. She didn't give him a big lecture about how he shouldn't feel this problem, that problem. Stay here, live here, take up some small work here. Mother immediately made him her own and transformed his life. Now, I find one of the most outstanding qualities of Mother was her sensitivity towards others' feelings. She had a tremendous respect for others, and people felt that. She respected other people's opinions. She never undermined anyone. She never snubbed anyone, marginalized anyone. She automatically included everyone, sahaja, naturally. She included them. She was their mother. So she validated a person's existence, making that individual feel full of worth. Everyone that came to Mother felt that Mother loved him or her the best. And when she was dealing with her relatives, she always paid attention to them. She would ask them their opinions about things, even when they differed from hers, especially this Nalini, her niece. She always kind of presented herself as, the gendarme of the household. She was a very dominant figure and a very troublesome figure. And Holy Mother would say about her nieces and so on, she'd say, you have to grant a little bit of freedom. And she would say, watch from a distance so that nothing will go very wrong. Now notice that Mother doesn't say nothing will go wrong. She just said that it doesn't go very wrong. On another occasion, Mother said to a disciple, you see, my son, it's not a fact that you will never face dangers. Life is full of danger and conflict. Difficulties always come, but they do not last forever. You will see that they will pass away like water under a bridge. She was so realistic. She was realistic in that way, and she was always realistic in her assessment of people and situations. Such a keen intellect Mother had. And this is the relative world, after all. Everything in this world works on the principle of action and reaction. That's the nature of the relative world. One thing depends upon another. Sometimes things go very well, and other times things go terribly wrong. But nothing lasts forever. The ups and downs Mother would emphasize they're momentary, and we can see that. If we can step back a little in our life, we can see that. Nothing's always terribly wrong. Nothing's always right. This is the relative world. So her emphasis is no matter what condition you find yourself in life, show respect for others. When we do that, what are we doing? We're actually honoring the divine in that person. We're not isolating that person. We're not marginalizing that person. We're actually worshiping the divine in that person. So this was one of Mother's emphasis. Respect others. Give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, she was an expert at separating a person's behavior from the real person within. And I'll give a few examples of this. You know, Mother knew what was what. And one time some devotees brought some fruit, they weren't very good, and this and that, maybe half were rotten and so on. And one of the devotees was complaining, oh, this is awful, you know, these people. And Mother said, keep quiet. I know who is good and who is bad. She accepted that offering. Nothing went unnoticed by the Mother. But she would graciously excuse any wayward behavior. Why would she do that? Because she saw the real person within, and she would lift that person up. When Nalini, one of her nieces that I just mentioned, she was sort of an obsessive-compulsive person. And when she would get in one of her obsessive-compulsive moods, Mother would say, poor Nalini, her buddhi is undeveloped. Now, she didn't curse Nalini as a person. She said her buddhi is undeveloped. This is the reason she's behaving this way. And when a cook was dismissed from Belur Mutt for stealing, Swami Vivekananda sent him out, take that fellow out. And that fellow ran to the Holy Mother. He fell at her feet. He said, Mother, I'm poor. I have a family to support. This is why I stole. Swami Premananda came there, and Mother said, take him back. And Premananda was trembling to take him back to Swami Vivekananda when he said, take him out. Mother said, take him back. Premananda didn't say anything. He's walking towards Belur Mutt. Swami Vivekananda sees him coming. What is this? Babaram's bringing this cook back? When they came closer, Premananda said, Mother said, take him back. Swami Vivekananda was silent. He took him back. When immoral women, prostitutes, and others who were rejected by society and by the devotees, women devotees that would come to see Mother, she embraced them as her own. And if the women complained too much, she would say, if you're uncomfortable here, you need not come. They're also my daughters. You know, once when some devotees came to see her, they were initiated, they'd come a long way, they'd walked a long distance. One thing after another they forgot. They left some towel, they left some sari, this or that. And one of the monks had to keep running to give them their things back. People were criticizing them. Oh, they're so inconsiderate. And Mother excused their forgetfulness by mentioning how much trouble they had taken to come to see her, and how hurriedly her children had to leave without spending time with her. You know, Mother's first response was always non-judgmental. She looked beyond the exterior into the interior person. Our first response is judgmental, always. She never made a judgment. So she encouraged us to be generous in our attitude towards others. You know, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Shah, Shah, Shah. He would say this to Hridoy when Hridoy would torture him over various things. Shah, Shah, Shah. This is how we have to get along. Forbear, forbear, forbear. So spiritual forbearance is actually that stabilizing force that enables us to withstand all of the irritations, the contradictions, the cross currents in life when we forbear. And Mother reminds us, to judge is human. This is what we do, we judge. We see somebody behave in a certain way, and we actually reflect what we think that means, and we make a judgment. It may have nothing to do with why the person said or did what they did. So she says to judge is human. But to forgive and overlook is divine. So Mother's outlook was entirely opposite from ours. We're ready to find fault with others at the slightest provocation, because we're only seeing the surface of people and their behavior. But Mother's vision was profound. It was comprehensive. So her approach was very, very simple. She saw only the good in her children. And one time Golap Ma said, "What's the use of telling you anything? You don't see the faults of anybody." And Mother said, "Oh, I too used to see faults. But then I prayed, oh Lord, there's no stain in the moon. Make my mind like that." She said, "I can't see faults in others." It's wonderful. Now, another lesson we learn from Mother's life is her insightful perception of people and situations. Mother could always evaluate people and situations just at a first glance. And when we study her life and her simple observations, we see how she naturally conveys that the mind should always be turned toward God under all circumstances, especially when our mind goes after distractions or momentary pleasures and pursuits. So she instructs us, knowing this is the nature of the human mind. She never told anybody, don't do this or don't. She always put it in a positive way. So she said, if your mind runs after anything other than God, just look at it. Consider it as transient. It's passing. And then surrender your mind at the sacred feet of the Lord. Our attention span is short. So without lengthy discussions, she goes right to the heart of the issue. And by doing so, she's directly telling us how to implement these truths in our daily life. And also what happens if we don't. So in a way, Mother's teachings are so practical. She's not asking us to memorize the Brahma Sutra or to study bhashyas and commentaries and the Upanishads. She doesn't take that approach. She looks at our life, each life, what the person, this is why she asked this young, what's your name, what's your family, what do you do? She would find out, she could intuit where a person was coming from, where they live, what their job was. People came with all kinds of problems to Mother. And her simple life, you're just awestruck. How could she know all these things when she lived such a life of Borda in those days? But her heart had expanded, it was open. So she knew exactly how to instruct each individual. And another important point, yesterday various questions came out about this question of love. Look, love is a very, very profound state. And we treat it very lightly sometimes when we talk. There's a vast difference between human attachment and divine love. Attachment brings pain. We know that. Nobody wants pain. We all want to be happy. We want to be loved. But somehow we think we can escape. But we can't cheat God like that. If you study Mother's life, you can really begin to understand what real love is. That's real love. It's indivisible. It's limitless. It's infinite. So real love knows no separation, no boundaries, and no expectation of return. Swami Vivekananda talks about this in Bhakti Yoga. He draws a triangle, the 3 triangles of love. And these qualities are mentioned. Once there was a little girl like our Harini, or this Ahi that comes, she loved Holy Mother very much, and she's a naughty little girl. It caused her family a lot of problems. And Mother was going to be traveling somewhere. And Holy Mother said to this little girl, "How much do you love me?" And she spread her arms out like, "Oh, I love you this much." And Mother said, "If you love all equally, do not demand anything from those that you love." She gave this instruction to this little girl. And apparently it changed the little girl's life. Now, Mother had this pure and undivided love for everyone. Unlike us, her love for one person was not diminished by her affection or love for someone else. So everyone felt their heart full when they went to Mother. Mother loves me the best. Everyone felt this. And this is why they could feel this. Because they entered into the infinite heart of the Holy Mother. You know, Swami Ashokananda, a Swami in San Francisco Center in the 30s, said there is an infinite mother heart at the center of the universe. And that infinite mother heart, when it beats, it pulsates and sends out vibrations throughout the universe. This was the mother's heart. If we divide our love, if we're not wholehearted, God hides himself from us. We call it love. It's not love. It's attachment. So if we want to know about real love, we need to study the Holy Mother's life. You know, for Mother, our daily life, our routines, our relationship, our work, that constitutes the path. She didn't have a separate spiritual path. Our life is our path, regardless of what our life is. If we're a housewife, or a teacher, we're an engineer, we're a professor, doesn't matter. Monk, nun. Wherever we find ourselves, that's our spiritual path. Our path isn't separate from any of these. So it's a matter of shift of attitude. It's not what we do, it's how we do it, how we look upon it. And Mother always encourages us to be active. To be in the service of others is worship of God. All of these ladies that are working here, preparing the food, so many nice arrangements, this is worship of God. If we have that attitude, we're worshiping the Lord in this form. She felt that work, in this sense, our daily work, whatever it happens to be, definitely keeps the mind in good shape. And she would say work helps one to keep off idle thoughts. If one is without work, such thoughts rush into the mind. This is so beautiful. It's actually Patanjali's Yoga Sutras put in very simple language. So Mother's simple wisdom is ever practical. This is something that's very important for all of us because it's related, you know, spiritual life is not related to our lives. In our situation, it remains just a mental concept. We have to bring it into our lives to make it living, to make it real. Otherwise, God remains God, goddess, it's the picture, it's the shrine, it's something separate from us. No, it's the heart of our soul. And this is what we find in Mother's life. How do we do this? This is often the questions that we have. How can I transform my mind to go to this, to this? This is how we do it. And she makes it very simple. Now, no one was ever busier than the Holy Mother. Do you ever find anything in Mother's life where she was idle for a moment? Never. Sweeping the courtyard, cleaning this, doing that, so many things. Always she was active. Yet her mind was always centered in the divine, no matter how occupied she was with her mundane activities. Now, this dwelling in God and feeling his presence, living in his light day and night, it's very reminiscent of the 17th century French Christian monk, Brother Lawrence, practicing the presence of God. Same thing, simple monk. And he performed the most ordinary chores of washing dishes, working in the kitchen. If you read the practice of the presence of God, his life was so simple, just like the Holy Mother. Busy kitchen, people calling for orders, this and that. And in and through all of that, he would say to the Lord, if you don't help me, it's going to be a mess. And he constantly lived in the light of God like that. You know, Mother always strongly advocated practicing this presence of God. And she emphasized other practices as well, of course. Repetition of the divine name. Her emphasis on practice was always simple. Not big elaborate pujas or anything. Just remember the Lord. Repeat the name. Prayer. Surrender. Take refuge. Very simple. But always with the emphasis that God is our own. You see, if we feel that something's our own, it's not outside of us. It becomes part of us. That's the point. So she always emphasized, God is our own. And when she would speak of the Master, you know, she would prepare betel leaves for visitors. And she'd say some of my family members are very fussy, and she'd make very, very, you know, nice ones for Thakur, or make ordinary ones for him. What is there after all in him? He's our very own. So that was her relationship. God's our own. And again, she would say, and yesterday we went to Niagara Falls, and over the falls on the Buffalo side, it was a beautiful moon. There's going to be a full moon in a few days. And it reminded me of Mother's teaching that the moon is the uncle of everyone. So God is everyone's. He's our very own. So she would say, you know, the mind keeps very well when it's engaged in work. And yet, these other practices, this japa, meditation, they're especially needed, Mother would say, because it's like the rudder to a boat. And she'd say at the end of the day, when you sit, then you can reflect on how you spent that day. This went wrong, this went right, so on. And you compare, you think, and you offer everything to the Lord. You know, one definition of meditation is God talks and you listen. And when you pray, you talk and God listens. But in either case, we're communicating with God. So whether you pray or you meditate, or you practice manana or any other discipline, you're communicating with the Lord. So I think that she would say that unless we set aside particular times when we can concentrate exclusively on the divine, it's difficult to know exactly what our minds are doing. See, again, what a practical instruction. Just reflect at that time, you know, how have I spent my day? Because when we practice spiritual disciplines, obviously we become more aware of the workings of our minds. And most spiritual seekers feel, my God, I'm much worse than I thought, even before I started. Actually, they're in a much better state because they're aware of the things that are coming up. So Mother knows this, but she puts it in this language, very simple language. She said, do you know the significance of japa and other spiritual practices? By these, the power of the sense organs is subdued. That's another paraphrase from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Very simple, she puts it. Not a big Sanskrit, this, that. She goes right to the heart of it. You know, Mother tirelessly emphasized that perseverance and tenacity, they're necessary for success. She never said it was easy. But when we study her life and we reflect on these few simple teachings, we can get an idea of how we can do this. And I'll just end with one incident. Once a devotee asked her, Mother, what's the secret? And her reply reveals the central core of her simplicity in all matters spiritual. She pointed to a small clock sitting in a niche, and she says that timepiece is ticking Go on repeating God's name. That will bring you everything. Nothing more need be done. Can there be any simpler path to God than this one instruction? Thank you. Okay.
On behalf of the Vedanta Society of Toronto, thank you all for attending today's Sunday lecture. Special thanks to Pravrajika Virajaprana Mataji for her insightful talk. For some of our upcoming programs, the next Friday scripture class will be on September 12th at 7:30 p.m. on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The next Sunday lecture at 11 a.m., which is September 14th, will be online only, and the topic is Bhakti, love for God. Durga Puja will be celebrated on September 30th, which is a Tuesday, at 6:30 p.m. Mahanavmi will be on October 1st at 6:30 p.m. and Vijayadashami will be celebrated on October 2nd at 6:30 p.m. again. Enrollment for the Vedanta Vidya class is now open, and those who are interested can contact the office. Following the closing chants, Mataji will be sitting outside, and those of you who want to do pranams can line up and do so. Thank you.
It was a wonderful talk that we heard. Really, she brought Holy Mother to our hearts, Mataji. It's so inspiring. Mataji is very busy. We'll do pranams to Mataji very quickly. She will have lunch prasad with you, and she's leaving for Ottawa. People are waiting there to meet her and to listen to her. At 7 p.m. she has to deliver a small talk there in the temple at the Vedanta Society of Ottawa. So we'll do quickly the pranam. Now the closing chant. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Jai Mahamai Ki Jai. Jai Swami Ji Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Buddha Ki Jai. Jai Isha Musha Ki Jai. Sarvastaratu Durghani Sarvo Bhadrani Pashyatu. Sarvasad Buddhimapnotu. Sarvas Sarvatra Nandatu. Hari Om Tat Sat. May all be freed. May all be freed from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us.